Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the RITIE webinars. This time, we are joined by Dr. Barbara Leporini, and a valued collaborator and member of RITIE. Barbara Leporini is an associate professor of computer science in the Department of Informatics at the University of Pisa. She holds a PhD in computer science from the University of Pisa with a dissertation on accessibility and usability related to websites. She researches methods and tools to make user interface accessible and usable for users with special needs. She is the author of numerous publications and has presented many national and international conferences. In particular, she collaborates with the working group on the requirements defined by the Italian accessibility law. She is currently also a member of the Board of Directors of National Institute for Research, Training and Rehabilitations, and a member of the National Council of the Italian Association of Blind and Visually Impaired. Thank you for being with us, Doctor. You may begin your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for your introduction. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning for you. Sorry. And I thank you very much for your invitation to take this webinar. And it's a very pleasure for me being here today and to present some ideas, some comments, some considerations about technology, inclusive technology for education, because as you said, I am interested in this particular topic for research, but especially for a personal reason, as you can imagine. Thank you. In my presentation today, I just want to introduce the context and some, especially to think and to speak with you about we can reconsidering the education based on artificial intelligence and new technology that can be very useful for inclusion and in order to have inclusive lessons, inclusive materials, and so on. So, okay, about me, I can just add, thank you for the introduction about me. I just wanted to introduce to you that at the University of Pisa, I have different courses, especially in humans, digital humanities, and which is a multidisciplinary course of study for students who likes informatics, computer science, but who wants to apply technology, methods, tools to humanities in order to apply digital solutions in this area. So in these courses, I have different, and I teach in different courses, okay, especially in theoretical and basic for programming at the first year at the university, but especially I teach in different courses, not only for digital humanities, but also for future teachers in primary school. And so educational technology for inclusion, okay? And also in other two courses, one in in digital humanities, and in this course to teach technology for education, assistive technology for education, and then assistive technology in digital health. So in Pisa and in our university, we are a lot working. We are working a lot for considering assistive technology for and in order to improve autonomies, to improve independence, and to improve especially education. So this area, this topic is very important for me, and it is also a topic in my research area. So I would like to introduce you and to discuss with you some consideration for different point of view. I am blind, and as you know, I am a member of the also the national board for the Italian Association for the Blind, and so I would like to, especially to consider solutions and methods for blind and low vision users. Just to recap, to have a recap about blind users and low vision users, we can say that a blind user or a screen reader user encounters several issues when using technology, when interacting with a web page, with an application. And so we can say when interacting with education materials. And nowadays we have not just documents, PDF documents, and so on, but especially education environments, interactive education environments. And so a blind and a screen reader user can encounter a lot of issues, and we have to consider this type of issues when we have to provide accessible materials, when we have to consider some evaluation tests, for example, for the examinations, and so on. Okay, so these are the main problems related when interacting with education material and environments. I would like to especially focus on STEM content, scientific content, because I think that this is the main area in which a blind student, a blind teacher can encounter a lot of issues and a lot of problems. So I would like to consider especially STEM content, the STEM topics. For low vision users, we can say that we have a lot of issues also for this type of users. A low vision user can interact with an environment, with a system, by using especially magnifier. A magnifier can zoom, can act on a color contrast, for example, by changing background and font colors, but it is not able to adapt the materials. For example, when we have a picture, when we have an image, when we have fixed a pixel, and it is not possible to have a good zoom, and it's not so easy to magnify the screen, okay? The screen, the picture, and so the content. So what we can consider? We can consider different perspectives. I would like to highlight different perspectives because I think we can consider some common issues, okay? According to the three different perspectives. I was In the past, I was young and I was a student, okay? Today, I am a teacher, but I am also a researcher, and so I can give three different perspectives. Okay, if we consider the student perspective, we can say that, okay, I can have some different issues, okay? So I can encounter digital content, but not structured content. And so it is not so easy to read and to interact with the content, with them, okay? I can encounter a problem when interacting with a web page. So I am not so able to find a quick button, a quick link, quickly a button, a link. And if this is a big problem when I just navigating, just surfing on the web, you have to think how it can be very difficult when I have to study, when I have to learn, when I have to get content and to focus on the content because I have to concentrate in study process, okay? So this type of issues we have to consider just to focus on the problems in order to identify the possible solutions and the methodology that we can study, we can consider when preparing my educational contents, but especially when I have to design an environment and a system. But we have to think, can artificial intelligence assist us as a student, as a teacher, or as a research to better navigate, to better interact with the content? So this is the main topic, okay? So when we have to apply for evaluation, when we have to access to the system, nowadays we consider, for example, I use as a teacher, I use a Moodle with my students to have evaluation and degree evaluation, graduates, and so on, and for the examination, some testing, some questions, and so on. Nowadays, we consider a lot some system for simulating environment, for example, in the chemical context, informatics and computer science context. These environments can be very difficult to use, okay? So we can summarize it to say by saying that STEM accessing to STEM content, it is not enough to guarantee an engagement for visually impaired students, but I want to say generally for a student, because we can have not only visually impaired students, but we can have in our classes many types of users, okay? So users with learning difficulties, students with autistic spectrum disorders, and so on. So we have to apply the universal design for learning principles and guidelines. But can artificial intelligence help us do it? Okay. The same problems or very similar issues can be encountered when we think about the teachers with difficulties. Okay. So when I have to prepare my presentation, the slides, organizing my lectures and so on. For example, I have to use PowerPoint based slides because using any other type of environment that nowadays is used is not so easy to prepare, but also to use when I have to when I have to have the lesson. Okay, so I prefer, for example, to have slides like I am using now. Okay, and this is a very problem because I have to prepare them. I need to have a good presentation. I have to format with a good layout. And so I can say, can artificial intelligence help me in preparing this? Okay. Okay. The same when I have to prepare the evaluation for my students, okay, to introduce and to use Moodle environments or any other type of environments. For example, usually I prefer to use Google Classroom because it is the most environment that is accessible. And I don't like so much Moodle platform, for example. Okay, so we have to consider, okay, which type of system it is much more accessible, which which specific systems it is better than another one. Okay, and another problem is related about to search information, to assemble information, to be sure that the information is a good information. Many information and content is visible. We have a lot of tables, complex of tables, and so on. So it is, we can summarize that preparing content, preparing lesson, preparing examination is a high cognitive and operational load and time consuming for example, a disabled teacher. Okay. And so we have to think about possible AI based solution to improve, to support, not to substitute the teacher, okay, but to support the teacher. Just this morning, I had a lesson with my students for in the course of future students in the future teachers. And we just talked about, okay, can artificial intelligence can help us? And one student especially told me, no, but I don't agree. I don't like artificial intelligence. I don't think that artificial intelligence can help us. Okay. I think that we cannot discard, we cannot exclude artificial intelligence because maybe today we cannot consider, but maybe in the future artificial intelligence will be considered as in the past when the search engine like Google search, like Bing and so on, arrived in our life. We just maybe thought, okay, no, but we cannot allow to the students to use Google search because it is so easy to prepare some documents some research or some search for content and to prepare by a student. And nowadays we can say, okay, Google search is part of our life. And I think that in few years, maybe in few months, maybe just today, we can say artificial intelligence and LLM-based models are parts of our life. And so I think we do not consider this type of technology. And so we have to think how this type of technology can be used. How can this type of technology be used for creating, for adapting accessible content, inclusive content? And so I can consider this type of technology also as a researcher person, okay? So as a researcher person, I can encounter a lot of issues. For example, I have to review a PDF document. I have to search for many contents. I have to prepare proposals and of projects. I have to manage projects. And so I encounter, as a blind researcher, many issues. And all these type of issues, as a student, as teacher, as a researcher, can be considered when searching, when we have to prepare and we to consider and we to focus for studying, for researching possible and to research possible solution. Okay, so we have to think about from accessing to content to learning content when we think about research for educational technology, for inclusive lessons and inclusive materials. So access to content is not enough, especially in the STEM context. We have also to think how we can improve environments, how we can support educational in STEM content, which are the main issues. The visual contents, the visual content. So I can say that the visual and not textual content remain the main issue, the main problem in STEM, in accessing STEM lessons. So producing accessible materials it is not so easy. For a students with disabilities, not easy to accessing. For a teacher, it is not so easy in preparing. For a researcher, it is not easy to manage to accessing in order to manipulate and to use it in preparing. So this is the driving for the research in this field. So the goal should be removing digital barriers for students, for teachers, and for researchers. In the STEM context, accessibility principles are necessary, okay, are necessary, but not enough. we have to go ahead. We have to go to provide a new step. So, in the future, research concrete solutions are increasingly essential for giving a step ahead. And so I would like to show you, consider AI as an opportunity. Generative AI, how can generative AI to support us in this field, in this area? Can give an help in as support content transformation. Why not? We are teacher. We are the expert. We have the appropriate skills. Okay, the AI, the generative AI, cannot substitute us, but can support us. Okay. Can suggest some accessible solution. Why not? We can interact with the generative AI and discuss about, for example, I can have an idea, but I'm not sure that this idea is good, it is enough, or if I can improve my idea. And so I can discuss the idea with the generative AI system. Why not? I think yes, because I have some experience and I can say that, okay, it can assist me, it can co-design with me, okay? So a generative AI can assist the teacher and also learners, okay? Okay, I can ask, oh no, this image is not so clear for me. Can you describe this image for me, for example? Okay, we also can consider, okay, artificial intelligence seems to be new, but it is not so new because computer vision, which is based on artificial intelligence, not generative, okay, but it is based on artificial intelligence, can be used also, and it has been using for several years to describe that to detect images. So for image recognition, object recognition, obstacle recognition, image and object, especially for education, for autonomous tasks, and so on. And so we can also to have this type of information and this type of support for also in the education. We have not to forget this, okay? So, we can say that the AI can support personalized learning, adaptive content, and multimodal access. This is a crucial point for the inclusive education. Why? Because we can think, okay, I have different students. I have some students with learning difficulties, students with some disabilities, and so how I can provide my content in a by applying universal learning design guidelines, for example. I can, for example, have for the same version of a content a textual content, an audio content, some picture-based contents to describe a concept. And so I can say, okay, artificial intelligence can support me in adapting, in transforming, in having different parts and different concepts in this area. So we have some emerging tools that can help us in doing this type, in having this type of approach. In a conventional agent, but not the general purposes, for example, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, okay, these are common and popular conversational agents, but we can think about some local conversational agent, for example, with some small LLM-based systems. We are working with some our students in computer science in how we can use, well, we can personalize this type of conversationalities conversational agents to personalize our lesson. For example, for my course, we prepared a conversational agent to support, to assist students in practicing, in learning some basic concept for my course, for example, and so not to use a general, okay? Okay, okay, so we can use it as a conversational agent, and also with a tutor, okay? So we can add also for real-time feedback and content adaptation. Okay, so we are thinking and we are preparing a small LLM in our local machine, our local computer, in order to provide a support for students and for teachers, especially for teachers, in adapting content. For example, I have this content for my lesson. I have this example that I would like to produce, to use in my class tomorrow. But I have my class, a blind student, a student with learning disabilities, and how I can explain, how I can present this content, how I can adapt in an accessible way. And the system, for example, can simplify for me this type of content. You could say, okay, but I can ask to ChatGPT, I can ask to Gemini to do this for me. Yes, but we have to think that we have some accuracy problem, some hallucination problems, and so we can some limitation in using existing AI-driven systems. So we can see that we have some prototypes, some early studies in this field. Okay, so most solutions are still prototype and limited, and we have still investigating this area. So, just to give some example, I led a project, a national project, STEM, Science, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, motivation and accessibility, STEM, this is acronym. Project, this is a national project. It is just finished in February. But I just would like to show you some examples, just to give an idea in which we investigate, in which topic. I started with an idea, but during these 2 years, artificial intelligence solutions and grow up, and so we decided to consider in our project. Okay, we had this type of projects with other universities in Italy, in Rome, and in Sicily. Okay, and the project focused the main on STEM content, and we especially considered content for primary schools, content for university environment. Okay, so we consider some solutions. For example, we considered some investigating issues and environments. So about 2 main principal areas, as I said, for STEM images descriptions and for explaining some specific scientific contents. And especially about for visual data and visual complex data. For example, complex tables, graphs, graphical contents, okay, and any other type based on visualization. We know that visualize content through a graph, to a graphical representation, data, very complex tables are very useful tools for sighted persons. But this type of information and content risk to exclude, for example, visually impaired students. And so we have to think how we can support this type of students. Okay, so we can say, yes, we can describe a graphical information. A table is in a textual format, so table is accessible for a screen reader users. Yes, this is true, but this type of tasks are or time-consuming for both for teacher in preparing alternative description for the images, and it is time-consuming and require high cognitive load for students in reading very complex tables. And so we thought, okay, how we can improve this type of tasks? This is the main topics that guided our project. Okay, so we investigated, and okay, we consider STEM as a visual language because for sighted persons and sighted users, visual language is very important. And so we have to think how we can make more accessible and so more inclusive this type of language, the science language. visual, we consider that visual content is not complementary, but it is the main part, the crucial part for educational STEM content. So, lack of access means exclusion for visually impaired students, for example. Okay, here you can see an image. It has been created by using artificial intelligence. I just use a prompt just to show you that now it is possible, thanks to generative AI, also to prepare some images that we can insert, we can consider for the presentation. Okay. Showing a complex, for example, activity in class, using formula, using different annotations, and so on. And we can, for example, describe this type of tasks, for example, what the teacher or another student is writing on the blackboard, for example. Okay, so we can have interactive tasks difficult for a blind, but we can say, generally speaking, for students with special education needs. Okay, so what we can say about the description, the image descriptions? It is a challenge, okay, because for a teacher, okay, how I can prepare it, what I have to say in this image, in this description. For example, this morning, a student who must prepare a presentation for their examination in an accessible way, asked me, okay, how what do you need in the alternative description for the images that I will insert in my presentation? It should be short, it should be long, with information, okay? So, when preparing this type of presentation, the educational content, we have prepared the description for images, okay? And so you have to think about STEM images, because describing a photo, it is quite easy, okay? But if I have a complex STEM scientific image, is not so easy, okay? So an alternative description must be accurate, because okay, do not forget that we are speaking about educational content, okay? So, should be accurate, should be concise, short, concise, because I have not to read long description, okay? So, should be concise. And it should be related to context aware, okay? I had to say, okay, this is a photo showing a diagram, a flow diagram, for example, in computer science, but I have not to be so explicative, no? I have to think, okay, but I have to describe that there are some specific parts. I have just to say it is a flow chart and so on. It depends. If the student is the first time that encounters this type of image, I have to describe in details. But if the student is encountering this type of image, not for the first time, but he or she encountered a lot of a lot of these images, okay, I can give a shorter description, okay? So, for example, if you tell me, okay, this image contains a diagram flows, a flow chart describing the algorithm for of I don't know, while process for and so on, okay? But if I have a beginner, you have described in more details, okay? So, who prepares the descriptions needs to have specific skills in a specific domain. Not a general person can prepare this type of description. So we have to ask to artificial intelligence. Okay, you have to prepare the description more accurate in this context. So, is artificial intelligence ready for photos? Yes. For STEM content? No. But I have to say to you that during these years, I noticed, as in any other context, the progress of AI in this context. Because if I can ask, describe this type of image, in the past, the AI wasn't precise. But today, if I ask the artificial intelligence to describe a computer science-based image, it is more accurate. Okay, so we can see progress every day. Okay, but why we can see this type of image? Because we can, by asking some specific content, some specific descriptions, the LLM models can learn. Okay. Okay, just to give a more quick because okay, we can add graphics and visualization, scientific diagrams, but the risk is to be not accurate and to have some hallucinations. Okay. Okay. The main problem in preparing this type of alternative description by AI is the data set. You know that AI has been trained by using data set, and we had a lot of data sets for photographs, for images of everyday life, but we don't have for scientific content. And this is a result of our projects. And we prepared and we proposed in our project some example of this type of data sets. Okay, very small. For example, for this type of description, for example, we have an automata for computer science. This is just an example, and we indicate through a specific prompt, okay, prepare for me, describe for me. I am a blind student, and please describe for me this type of automata. And so the AI should tell me, okay, this is a graph, this is an automata, is composed of this type of nodes, for example, they are linked or connected in this way, and so on, okay? So we have a specific descriptions. I have to say to you that today the descriptions are more accurate than in the past, but it is clear, okay? The AI is progressing every day. We considered also in our project data storytelling, storytelling, but with data storytelling as a strategy for accessibility. Because if we have complex data tables, if we have complex concepts, for example, especially for students with primary school, but not only for them, we can use data storytelling to describe and to make more comprehensive this type of content. Okay, and so we studied, and we have been studying how prompt can be used for generating storytelling, data storytelling, to explain specific visual and complex data or specific more complex mathematical concepts, statistical contents, and so on. Okay. This is just an example. For example, to explain global Earth quality, this is just an example to explain this type of graphs, for example. Okay, I can prepare an alternative description, but it is better to prepare a story to describe of this image. Okay, we are investigating also with another computer science student. She prepared a storytelling with data to describe to the students in a class, in a primary class, to describe, for example, some statistical concept, the mediana, and so on. Just to give an example, average and so. But I wanted to highlight to you that existing techniques, for example, tactile combined with audio, can be also today used combined with artificial intelligence. For example, we prepared a tactile and AI-based role play for students to based on, for example, questions, a rule-based play, okay, game. A game in which the students can go ahead after answering a specific, for example, a specific question based on STEM contents. And we prepared some tactile objects to use to interact with a game, audio-based game, on a smartphone or tablet, and by interacting with voice. So we prepared a multimodal interactive game by using voice, gestures, tactile objects, and using TTS, text-to-speech, based on artificial intelligence to prepare a good audio content and vocal-based content. Just to give you an example how to use and to combine more technology. So we can think that AI can be a co-teacher, and we can prepare contents, and we can co-design contents with AI, as I said. And the future can be, I think, the future direction can be, okay, the multi-agents, because we can have one agent to orchestrate the contents, to prepare assistance, for example, to have different agents with different skills, one in visually impaired, one in, for example, in audio impairments, auditory impairments, another one in difficulty in learning for special difficulty, and so on. Okay, we think, and we are investigating in this area, also as a support for teachers, not only for students. We have been Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, sorry, but I don't know why I was off. Just to conclude, I concluded, just I was in the... okay. Okay, so I can conclude that I think that inclusive education needs to be further investigated. Technology can be very useful in this area, including artificial intelligence. Okay, I'm sorry I was so long, but I just finished here. And I know if you have some questions, but I hope that, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for your attention. And if you have some question, I am here. Okay, thank you very much. And sorry for my too long presentation. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Doctor. There are so many questions in the audience. Let me.
Yes.
One of this is, what common mistakes do developers or teachers make when trying to make learning accessible?
The main mistakes, okay. I think that often teachers think that preparing an accessible material lessons require a long time and specific skills. This is true, but I think that they should start in preparing accessible content, okay, and to learn how to prepare a description. And sometimes I think that, okay, they say, okay, what type of alternative description can insert here? Okay, this is an image showing a flow diagram and dot and a point, and this is enough. So they do, in my opinion, really in which it is so important in making their content, their material in accessible way. What is really important for the students? What I have to explain, what is the main focus of this material, and I have to describe the image with all details, or I have describe the main educational parts of this image, for example. Okay, so I think that they have to focus on the real educational content in order to ask, okay, how I can create and I can make it more accessible. I think this is the main problem. When I connected again, it was switch off. Okay, thank you for telling me.
Okay. We have another question. In your experience working with education, what's the biggest real-world obstacle stopping AI tools from being truly adopted in classrooms today? And what practical steps could help overcome it?
Okay, in my opinion, okay, for my experience, because I have been using now educational AI-based tools to test them, and I think for the moment some. Okay, I think that the main problems are related to more details that this type of tools are providing. And so I think that we need to learn, especially preparing specific prompts. Okay, I think that for the first time, the educator, the teacher should consider one example related to their topic, the typical lesson, okay, and to prepare an accessible format, for example, one image, a type of description, no? What I need for this type of description. For example, I have a general description, and then I would like to have, okay, the description should be in this way. And so to provide the content and the accessible material in order to teach to the AI what I want. Okay, so I give to the AI the material, the original material, the accessible format for that material, so to provide an example, and to tell to the AI tool, okay, this is the type of accessible format what I need for my lesson, for my material. So we have, okay, we can have different type of prompts, okay? 0 shot, 1 shot, dynamic prompts, and so on. I think that 0 shot is not so good to prepare and to ask to interact with the AI tools, but especially 1 or few shots is the good way to interact with the AI-based tools, I think.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, how can we prevent technological solutions from being designed without considering those who truly need them?
Sorry, to prevent?
How can we prevent technological solutions from being designed without considering
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, to consider also our contribution and not to allow to the technology to decide and to give it also for us. Yes. Yes, it is very okay. As I said, it is very important that the technology and the AI-based solution could not substitute the teacher in any. These, I think also in the future, because the role of the education and the teacher is very important. How we can prevent that the artificial intelligence substitute us? Okay, we have to interact and to tell to the technology, okay, we have to prepare accessible this content, and so we can interact with us. So it is very important that the educator and the teacher needs to learn how to interact and to learn how to use in a ethical way and more responsive way to use this type of technology. I think that having a specific AI-based or AI-driven environment specifically for teacher, and we are thinking about this, could be very important, because it is very important to give to the AI-based tool some rules. Some rules, for example, the AI tool should ask to the teacher, okay, I will do this for you, but I need to interact with you in order to prepare in the good way and in an appropriate way the content for you. Okay, and so I need that in order to prevent that the technologies do a specific task for us. I think that we need to interact between us in any moment, and the teacher need always always to check to interact and to check the final version, but also not only the final, but also the intermediate material version. So continuously interact with the technology, AI-based technology.
Okay, that's really important. And another question, from your experience, what are the biggest barriers to access in STEM education today?
The big, serious problem.
The biggest barriers.
Barriers, okay. Okay, in STEM content, in my opinion, the big barriers are especially the interactive environments. Because, okay, for images, for videos, we can prepare alternative descriptions, alternative contents, and so on. But interactive and collaborative environments, for example, for simulation environment, no? Because for some specific topics, we can have environments to simulate some experiments. And I think for scientific topic subjects, scientific yes, topics, I think it is the biggest problem. We maybe someone can think, okay, mathematics is the topics which is most difficult, but in my opinion, it's not real, because nowadays we have many tools to make accessible mathematics contents. I think that simulation environment is a main, the biggest barrier, contains the main biggest barriers in scientific content for me.
Okay, thanks. And with this, what message you give to students with visual impairments who want to pursue in STEM?
Okay. I decided to submit and apply for a proposal in the STEM contents, in the STEM area, because I would like to say and to motivate blind and visually impaired students in considering STEM patterns and STEM careers, because I think that often visually impaired person and people decide to not consider STEM careers because they encounter several issues. Okay, it is not so easy to find accessible material, and I think that yes, this is true, but I would like to say then that STEM content, STEM careers are so important, so interesting, and so you don't not consider for accessible issues, but you have to decide, okay, you like STEM content, yes, you have to consider and you have to address and to decide to study and to continue in this area, because it is very important to show that it is possible for a blind person to study and to be involved in this area. Yes, it is true that we encounter a lot of problems, a lot of issues, but it is nice, it is beautiful to participate, to be involved, and to contribute in this field, in this area. So I would like to the students to consider this area, but I would like also to say to the teachers, okay, make your and give your contribution for blind and visually students in having more accessible, and teachers and students consider AI-based tools as a co-design, as a tutor, as an assistant to get more accessible content, and in order to be much more involved.
Thank you, Doctor. It's very important, this message. Yeah. And thank you so much for your presentation. Certainly, it's a very interesting topic, and there's still much to discuss, since the area of inclusion often generates high expectations, and sometimes in trying to use or develop technologies, we can lose sight of the essence, what is helping people with disabilities.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you to you very much for your invitation. It was a very pleasure for me being here and show you some my personal view about the future, but the present, the future, and to give the message. So thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, it's very interesting, your investigation and your view. Thank you very much. Some questions will be posted on the Facebook Live video in case you're
sure.
Answer them.
Sure. You can write me. Yes, sure.
Yes, perfect. And with this, we conclude this edition of our webinars. Dr. Andrés Sandoval, President of RITI, and Dr. Francisco Alvarez, Vice President, send their special greetings and thanks to Dr. Leporini.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to you and to them. And I remember nicely the period that was there some years ago.
Yes, you're a very special member for our network from RITI. Thank you, Doctor, and we will see you at the next edition.
Yes, okay, sure. Thank you very much. It will be a very pleasure for me. Thank you very much, and bye-bye to everyone.
Bye, Doctor. See you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.